We will now discuss about environmental chemistry. Objectives. The presenters will be able to define and discuss the following: solutions for the environment, prior knowledge about the topic, the cause and effect of the issue. We will now discuss about current water issues.
As you can see in this slideshow, you can see that water crisis is described as global situation wherein people lack sufficient water, clean water, or both. It is also described in this selection that global situation involves water shortage. It is also called as water stress, which many areas in the world doesn't have clean water, and because of low precipitation, meaning it is in the deserts, and also the large population, just like in India.
So, as we all know, water covers 70% of our planet, and it is easy to think that it will always be there, but this is not true. Fresh water, or the stuff we drink, bathe in, irrigate our farms, is incredibly rare, and actually only 3% of the world's water is fresh water. Many of the water systems that keep ecosystems thriving and feed a growing human population have become stressed. More than half the world's wetlands have disappeared. At the current consumption rate, this situation will only get worse. By the 2025, two-thirds of the world's population will face water shortages, and ecosystems around the world will suffer even more. I think that is enough reason for us now to stop taking our water for granted.
So another major current water issue is the unsafe water supply. In the cause of poor hygiene, unimproved sanitation of water, this can lead to death or illness that would really cause a lot of damage in our health. If we people kept on drinking water contaminated and lack of sanitation, we will have illness in our body. And one of the major supplements that our body needs is water. So another major issue on water is the water scarcity. Failure of institution to ensure a regular supply or due to a lack of inadequate infrastructure.
Since Philippines is one of the tropical countries in the world, it also suffers from weather conditions such as El Nino. El Nino occurs during summer season because the vast pool of water in the ocean becomes abnormally warm. Not only the ocean, lands and winds are also extremely warm, making the water from dams and most agricultural farms incredibly low. The impacts of El Nino includes warmer sea temperatures that kills plankton and fish. It also includes lower sea levels and drought that also causes crop failures and increased disease because of lack of water.
Since water connects every aspect of life, water crisis affects a lot of factors. First, we have death. Nearly 1 million people die each year from water, sanitation, and hygiene-related diseases, which could be reduced if they had an access to safe water and sanitation. A lack of clean water increases the risk of diarrheal diseases. For warfare, since water is one of the most important substances that every human being needs, with the diminishing freshwater resources, more conflicts are likely to break out as people fight for access to water. Irrigation is an important component of the agricultural system that needs a continuous flow of water into streams and agricultural field. In lack of proper irrigation, that can lead to low production of foods and necessities. In lack of sanitation, lack of hygiene, malnutrition, and poor healthcare, unsafe and dirty water was being practiced in some countries. So water supply, hygiene, and sanitation should be done to prevent malnutrition and other diseases.
Water crisis could really impact people. Shortages of water could become a major obstacle to public health and development. Currently, the United Nations Children's Fund and World Health Organization estimate that 1.1 billion people lack access to water supply and 2.6 billion people lack adequate sanitation. The global health burden associated with these conditions is staggering, with an estimated 1.6 million deaths every year from diseases associated with lack of access to safe drinking water, inadequate sanitation, and poor hygiene.
So, for other countries, people are
forced to drink low-quality water. Water comes from flowing streams, which can be contaminated. It can contaminate waterborne diseases, and an example of this is malaria. Malaria is an example of a disease that can be fatal, and this comes from insects, specifically mosquitoes that brings bacteria. This water also means sewage does not flow, and mosquitoes breed on still dirty water. Restaurants and public places, the convenience, and many other places are forced to use very little water for cleaning. This also compromises the health of staff and people who use the facilities. So, shortage of water affects the health of people. If you have little water or shortage of water, it can bring diseases that cannot be fatal to us humans.
Hunger is also one of the effects of water crisis since water helps to grow food and it cares for animals. Loss of water means farming, crops, and animals will die. And humans will not do well without water, meaning everyone will be affected, leading to constant hunger and thirst and low quality of life.
Poverty. Access to quality water is key to economic prosperity and better living standards. Siyempre, businesses like restaurants, hotels, and shopping places, kailangan siyempre malinis kasi it is one of the reason kaya tayo nakaka-attract ng turista sa isang lugar and dito rin tayo kumukuha ng investments kaya doon pa lang pumpasok na yung kita or yung income ng isang tao. Kaya we really need to keep every place clean with the help of quality water. While yung manufacturing activities, commercial farms, and mining processes, lahat yun, kailangan ng tubig or quality water para umunlad. Kasi lack of water means no economic activities will happen and dun pa lang, the people will be in constant poverty.
Regards to solutions, so we have first, improve irrigation and agricultural practices. So as said earlier by Dennis, irrigation is important to agriculture for the continuous flow of water. So if we do not care about improving irrigation, if we do not replace the leakages and the holes in the pipelines, the water supply will be decreased and conservation of water will not be achieved. Next is population growth control. So here, as we all know, population growth control is about organizing a good family planning. So in growth control, we need to control the birth rates, especially here in the Philippines, because it can cause poverty to most of the Filipinos, and worse, we cannot conserve water and water issues might be increased as well. Next is innovate and conserve. Here in innovation and conservation, we as individuals, as youth, we need to innovate, we need to observe our environment in order for us to determine or see what we can do to contribute to the society or to contribute to the current water issues. Conservation of water is very important because not everyone has the capability or resources that includes water supply. So most of us, especially here in the Philippines, have water shortages. So we need to conserve water as possible. Next is awareness and education. So as I've said, we as youth, we need to be aware more of current water issues, and if ever that we have lack of education about this topic, we have the responsibility to educate ourselves and be more aware and have deep understanding about it in order for us to contribute to the society and to lessen the current water issues. Next is
cleanup drive for water streams. So the purpose of this is to engage people around the world to remove the trash and debris from beaches and waterways and to identify the source of the litter in our waters. And it is also to change the behavior of our water pollution. Next possible solution is we need to create an alternative housing for those who live by the river or the bay so that it could lessen the water pollution and the consume of water by those people. And then next is we need to improve our sewage systems because this greatly reduces the risk of disease by removing harmful substances from our wastewater. So without improving our sewage systems, it would make our river pollution worse. Next is we need to, of course, manage our ecosystems holistically. Next is proper distribution of infrastructure in which we need to be mindful of the amount of infrastructure we put into a place so that they won't add to the water pollution. And next is wastewater recycling. Wastewater recycling is one of the major possible solutions that we could think of. It is to remove much of the suspended solids as possible before the remaining water cold effluent is discharged back to our environment. Of course, we need to have proper disposal practices in our community. And there is more.
Next is improving water infrastructures. Increase the sustainability of water supply by introducing new technology, especially less carbon-intensive technologies to deliver water more efficiently at lower cost, and it can provide many benefits like improved water quality. Next is proper disposal of waste products and sewage controls. Waste disposal practices. There are 8 major groups of waste management methods. Those groups include source reduction and reuse, animal feeding, recycling, composting, fermentation, landfills, incineration, and land application.
We must balance consumption so that communities retain or gain access to clean water. Unless we modify behaviors, we will see decline in agricultural activity. We will endure ongoing suffering, disease, and death among those who lack basic sanitation. We will run reserves dry, not realizing the gravity of the situation before it's too late. It is imperative we act now to protect those most at risk, as well as acknowledging the threat of a crisis to those who falsely believe they are safe.
The topics that we have discussed, we may be able to develop new technologies in the field of water, water recycling, conservation, consumption, all in all, or maybe improve our irrigation. We have to start changing our ways of using water. We have to conserve it for the betterment of our future. Funding can also help, or we can raise money to end water crisis. And that's our conclusion for our topics.
So this concludes our presentation about current water issues. So is a group this is the group of Jem de la Cruz from SE122, and we hope that you have understand the presentation, not very well because of the connection, but at least have an understanding or awareness about the presentation. That's all, and thank you very much.